Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy watching. Yesterday at night in Karen, there was a bitter complaint from the ex-president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, complaining bitterly about the raid of his son's home. And he was complaining, and his complaint went directly to the government. This showed that he has a personal difference or personal conflict with the government. Ladies and gentlemen, it means that Uhuru Kenyatta is the only person who can provide the solution to what they are looking for. And so he says, leave alone his children, his mother, his family alone, but then they should come for him himself. According to the report from the CS of India, Professor Kindiki, 3 homes were raided in Karen, and the 3 homes that were raided yesterday, 23 firearms were recovered, and the recovered firearms were suspected to be used or to be supplied during the demonstrations. Ladies and gentlemen, this shows that Uhuru Kenyatta's son is also suspected because his home was raided yesterday. And this brings us to Aden Duale's and Dennis Itumbi's tweet, which they retweeted on their official Twitter accounts about the report from the Ministry of Interior and the National Administration. My good people, there might be several complaints, but when the facts are highlighted, that is when eyes are being opened. The first report says, I will read, please be patient with me. Security intelligence information has established that some of the weapons, including firearms and crude weapons, have been used to fuel violence during violent riots that have been experienced in the country in the past few weeks, are supplied by a wide network of civilian firearms holders and leaders of unknown criminal gangs. Second, the civilian firearms and crude weapons are credibly suspected to have been used to harm law enforcement personnel and civilians alike during the violence that have been experienced recently. Third, while the police have intensified their crackdown on the criminal gang leaders who have been commanding criminals to rain terror on the public, the law enforcement agencies have rolled a nationwide operation pursuant to their mandate of regulation, control, and management of civilian firearms holders to ensure that those licensed to possess weapons abide by the relevant rules. Fourth, on 19th July 2023, a prime suspect was arrested by the preparing to distribute a large number of crude weapons to facilitate criminals to inflict violence on the public during the last 3 days of violent protest. The suspect was found in possession of 14 machetes, 24 swords, 46 rungus, and over 300 sachets of assorted narcotic drugs, including cannabis sativa and cocaine. Also found with him were documents describing the distribution of 24 million cash shillings across 11 counties in Nairobi, Central Rift and Rift Valley regions. 5. Today afternoon, an operation has been ongoing targeting 3 homesteads within the Karen area where a total of 23 firearms, some of which are suspected to have been used in illegal activities, are kept. 6. Today's operation is part of a broader operation targeting scores of firearms holders who who are suspected to have who are reasonably suspected to be availing firearms not only for the purpose of supporting violent protests but also other illegal activities. 7. For the avoidance of doubt, security agencies are authorized under the Firearms Act 114 of the laws of Kenya to inspect premises where firearms are kept to require civilians firearm holders to produce them for inspection and ballistic examination where it is reasonably have been used or expected outside the law. Lastly, the operation will proceed to cover civilian firearms holders in Nairobi and other parts of the country who may be using the weapons in their possession to jeopardize our national security. The operation is purely of security nature and neither its politicization and or sensitization will deter law enforcement agencies from ensuring that the country remains safe and stable. Kithure Kindiki, Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration. Ladies and gentlemen, according to this report from the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, CS Kithure Kindiki have carried out the operation, and the fact is 23 firearms, machetes, rungus, even the drugs like nicotine and cannabis sativa, including the documents for processing of 42 million shillings that might be distributed in 11 counties across the nation to sponsor things that are against the government were found in Karen yesterday. And this brings us in connection with the Uhuru's family because if his son's home was raided yesterday and only 3 homes were raided in Karen, and among the inspection in the 3 homes, 23 firearms and all other things were recovered from this place. This brings us to a conclusion that this family is suspected. They are suspected to have been involved behind criminal things that have been happening. This weapon they are suspected to have been used during the demonstration and maybe some of the killings, some of the shootings and other destruction of property like theft and even setting some properties on fire might not be done by demonstrators or killings by the police officers. It is suspected that there are some people who have been hired by some leaders of criminal groups in this nation to cause destruction and even to put this government of the day in a fixed manner so that the blame can be pushed to the police officers. Ladies and gentlemen, these are all but things that have attracted the sympathy from the outside or foreign nations, whereby deaths, killings, destruction of property, lack of peace, everything that have been going around in order to attract the people who can bring in a talk or to settle down this conflict between the opposition and the government. Maybe it is something that has been fueled by these criminals, and it is not things that are always being claimed maybe to do with the police officer because the CS has confirmed about the evidence of the firearms and other weapons. My good people, according to the tweets that Ale Duale and Dennis Itumbi had retweeted on their official Twitter accounts, there were some of the reaction from people who were doing this because of expressing their feelings. Some of them they were saying maybe Uhuru Kenyatta is just making noise and crying, complaining bitterly because it is time to pay back what he did when he was on the seat. If we can just recall some of the occurrences that happened, even these tortures happened to to expose some of the people who are in leadership right now in pain. When we look, the case of Moses Itumbi was also involved in torture during the last reign. Rigathi Gachagua, who was held half naked in front of his family, was also among the people who underwent rough time in the hands of Uhuru Kenyatta. We also have the residents of Kariobangi in Nairobi North, whereby their houses were demolished and more than 5,000 people lost their homes. They were homeless, and it was during Corona pandemic period when they did not have anywhere to go, and they were claiming that the, the government the government gave them a short notice in order for them to prepare, but within this short period their houses were destroyed. My good people, sometimes in politics revenge might be applied, but we are not saying that it is revenge, but silently karma is still today. Maybe according to what is happening, apart from the confidential and other factual reports from the Ministry of Interior, we see this thing can reoccur again because even the president himself, President William Samoei Ruto, suffered under the hands of Uhuru Kenyatta to an extent of the president himself will not recognize his deputy president during official functions, during official public holidays. He did not recognize him. Instead, he used figures like Raila Amolo Odinga and even the other CS in place of William Samoei Ruto. My good friends, and since those who are oppressed are now in power, maybe it is the time for payback. But I don't know how this game will unveil. My good people, please send me your ideas about how it is going to unveil at the end. Thank you for watching. Good day.